Hey writer friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Holly. I'm a writer aspiring to be a published author. And in today's video, I'm sharing with you my recommended writing craft books, part 2. So holy moly, this video has been a long time coming. I came out with part 1 of my recommended writing craft books probably a year ago, and it has just taken me this long to film it. I don't know why. I like had a stack of books and I was like, I'm ready to film this, but I just like didn't do it. But I got a really good response to the first video as well, so I will link that down below because I still love all of those books. But I like to consume writing craft books to try to improve my writing throughout the year. I've got about 7 books that I want to share with you today. Before I dive into those books, I do want to mention that last week I did not come out with a video because things were super crazy. I did try to post on my social media on Twitter and Facebook about not coming out with a video just because I didn't want to rush to come out with an inferior product, and life was just kind of crazy. I'm in the midst of maybe having to change jobs because the hospital I work at is closing down. So yeah, there's that. So things have been a little chaotic. So thanks for bearing with me. I know I try to get out a video every week for you guys, either Tuesday and or Fridays. My schedule is also changing where I'm gonna be working for 10-hour days. So I'm gonna have Wednesdays off. And so I think that that will be the perfect day to make sure that I get those YouTube videos filmed and edited for you guys. So hopefully you don't have to worry. I also am kind of crazy and kind of toying with the idea of doing Vita. I don't know if you know what Vita is, but it is vlog every day in April, and I have seen it going around across YouTube, not just with author tubers, but a lot of the author tubers that I watched that did Vita last year. I really enjoyed their content. So let me know in the comments down below if you guys would be interested in having me do Vita. It's kind of scary and daunting, but also seems pretty exciting. I feel like I would want to do like, if you guys pose your questions, then each video would be me answering a different question. It could be anything with writing craft, editing, my querying process, things like that. Now, another quick disclaimer, since I mentioned querying, I know I mentioned before in my querying and synopsis writing video that I was gonna come out with a video about how I built my agent list. And I still want to come out with that video for you guys, but I kind of felt like because I'm in the query trenches right now, I didn't want to come out with that video. I don't know, I just felt like I just didn't want to talk about my process right now since I'm querying, but definitely as I'm a little farther along in the process, I want to share that video with you guys. If you have any like glaring questions that you want to ask about how I built my agent list, then leave me a comment down below with your email address, or you can send me an email at WriteHollyDavis.com and I will try to answer that because I, do want to be able to help you, but I'm just going to wait a little bit more on that video. All right, you guys, so you should all know how important writing craft books are. They are so invaluable to improving your writing, your prose, just your overall craft, and not just writing, but editing, creating character arcs, outlining, and just learning about the author process. So the first 2 books that I have for you today are by the same author. It is the Creating Character Arcs book by K.M. Weiland, and then the Outlining Your Novel workbook by K.M. Weiland. So I read this quite a while ago, as you know, but I really liked this book because it goes through the various arcs that your characters can go through, either a positive arc, a negative arc, or a flat arc. And most of our characters, especially the protagonists, go through a positive arc. So I thought that that was really interesting to kind of learn about the different arcs because I didn't even know about the flat arc. And if I ever want to challenge myself and try to do a negative arc with my protagonist, then I recommend this book. And K.M. Weiland has some really good examples as she's going through talking about plot and characters. So for example, she's mentioning Thor, Jane Eyre, Jurassic Park, Toy Story, Green Street Hooligans. So there's a lot of different examples and things that she pulls from both books and movies. The second book, the workbook, there is also just a straight up Outlining Your Novel book. There is also a digital format so that you can, keep using it for your other works in progress and other manuscripts, and you don't just have to be one and done with the workbook. But I used this for outlining the Celestial Code, and I really feel like it was helpful. I did not use everything in here, but you might. The things that I really liked about this workbook, and I think I am gonna do this for the future books in the Celestial Code series and for all of my works in progresses, is that like they ask, like, I can't really show you because I wrote in it, but she has you ask like what if questions. So, you know, you might only have a snippet of an idea for your novel, just a character, a plot, like a basic premise, but asking yourself the what if questions, like what if this happens, what if that happens, and that kind of helps you brainstorm and plot and plan and come out with ideas that you might not have thought of. So you also write down things such as like what people would expect to happen, and then what you plan to have actually happen. And that can be the same thing that people expect, or it can be something different. But that's a good thing to think about, that like, okay, everything that's happening isn't what everyone is expecting to happen. The other thing that really, really helped me with this workbook was you start off with a 2-sentence premise. And she kind of breaks it down for you, so it's kind of like a fill in the blank, but pretty much by putting in and answering all the questions that she poses, I pretty much come up with like a premise sentence, and then from there you expand to a paragraph, and then you expand to a page. So essentially it's like trying to come up with your story summary, your synopsis. Now that's not really easy, and because things change as I'm in the writing process, like I can't just convert this to the synopsis and that's my synopsis for good. And so there's so many other things in here, so many exercises, even just like sketching characters, developing the character so that you know them well enough. Very, very helpful things. So I definitely recommend the workbook or the online application. The third book that I recommend is the Writing Fantasy and Science Fiction. This is by Orson Scott Card, Philip Athens, Jay Lake, and the editors of Writer's Digest. Now, I didn't use everything that was in this book. It's pretty chunky, but as you can see, I have a couple tabs of things that were helpful to me. What I really appreciated about this book is that I usually don't use placeholders in my manuscript, but I could not think of what to call this one object in the Celestial Code. And it wasn't until after I read this book that I found out what it was called, and it actually just like made sense with science. So it was really cool that it was like an actual thing that I could use in my novel. So they go through different science fiction and fantasy topics, such as world creation, different world cultures in fantasy, magic. They even go through witchcraft, fantasy races, myths and legends, different types of armor, the anatomy of a castle. So these are all things that, you know, I would not have been able to find on my own, and I don't think the internet would have given me all this information. So I thought that that was really awesome because I didn't really know anything about it. If you are a fantasy and science fiction writer, then I highly recommend that you pick up this book. The fourth book that I recommend is one that I recommended in part 1 of my recommended writing craft books, but it's a little bit different now, and that is the Emotion Thesaurus, the 2nd edition. So, oh my gosh, you guys, I was part of the street team for the Emotion Thesaurus 2nd edition launch, and I was just so hyped when I found out that like the 2nd edition was coming out, because I believe there's 55 more emotions in here. This is like a writer's Bible. I will recommend this to everyone, day and night, 24/7, 365. So before all of the emotions, they also have a lot of different sort of tips and tricks and examples of how to implement showing your emotions instead of telling. And so I really like that. And then they always have these little writer tips at the bottom of the emotion. So for example, so I'm on anger right now. They go through the physical signals and behaviors, the internal sensations, mental responses, acute or long-term responses for this emotion, signs that the emotion is being suppressed, what emotion anger may escalate to, and then they have the page number for that, what it may de-escalate to, and the page number for that, and then associated power verbs, which that is new. So for anger, they say blaze, consume, explode. It could escalate to rage or hatred, or it may de-escalate to bitterness or frustration. So, oh my gosh, you guys, I had already just worn out the first edition so much, but the second edition is just gonna be with me all the time now. I cannot recommend this book enough. The fifth book I recommend is also the smallest book I own, and that is The Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White. So you guys, this is like the nitty gritty, like, oh my gosh, going into grammar, really just going through line by line, word by word, being nitpicky with grammar. What I really like about this book is that they have a lot of practical examples so that you know what to change in your own manuscript. This is also really helpful if you want to do some editorial services for people. And then it's also just going to improve not only your editing your own manuscript, but other people's manuscripts as well. Agents want to know that you have good grammar. Yes, you are going to have an editor, but you don't want them to be doing all of the work. You want to be able to catch the glaring mistakes, and you want to show them that you are professional. The sixth writing craft book that I recommend is On Writing by Stephen King. Now this is like a part masterclass, part memoir, and I really like this writing craft book because it's very different from any of the writing craft books that I have read. Because it's a memoir, we learn about Stephen King's life when he started off writing, before he was published, and going through his whole journey. And so it was very inspiring because like Stephen King is like the king of writing. He had so many struggles and it wasn't easy for him, and like the biggest thing for me was when he threw out his manuscript of Carrie and his wife pulled it out of the trash basket and said like, no, you need to work on that, and like look where that got him. But it wasn't an easy road for him, and there are so many good little tidbits of advice just kind of sprinkled in throughout his journey that he shares with us. So I highly recommend you guys pick this book up. And last but certainly not least, it's in my book bow because I'm currently reading it right now, but I was like, I have to add this to my list. I am only like 25 pages in, but I need to add this to my list, y'all. And that is Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody. And this is based on the books by Blake Snyder. So you guys, the tagline for this book is the last book on novel writing you'll ever need. And right now, well, I just recommended all those other books to you, which I still recommend, but right now I kind of agree with this book because I only read the first chapter, but it was about building your hero, finding out what they want, what they need, what their goals are. She presented it in such an easily digestible way, and I just like devoured that chapter. So I use the 27 beat sheet when I'm outlining my novels, and this has like 15 essential plot points or beats. So I think that I'm really going to enjoy this because I like that, like making sure that I hit each point in my manuscript when I'm outlining, and then making sure that as I'm writing and if I'm changing things that I'm still hitting those beats. The reason why I am reading this novel is because Brittany Wang and Bethany Atazada are doing a Save the Cat experiment over on their YouTube channels, and that's how, because I had this book and people were talking about it and raving about it, and I was like, okay, you know, you guys are recommending it, but like, really, what's the hype? And now I know what that is all about. So I really recommend that you guys read it, join the experiment. Even if you're not gonna join the experiment, I recommend you read this for your own consumption because you guys, right now, like, this thing is good. All right, you guys, so that's it for this video. I will leave links to all of the books that I mentioned down below, and I will also include part 1 of my recommended writing craft books. And I will also be leaving the link to my survey for the Happy Balanced Writer content. If you guys would fill that out, I would be forever grateful because it's gonna help me cater and gear my content for you guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these writing craft books and which ones were your favorites. Please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to support my channel, and I will see you guys next time. Bye! Oliver. 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 No. No. Okay, sorry. No, this isn't gonna work out. No! Oh, don't film with cats in the room. YouTube 101, which I do not abide by, apparently. Okay, well, that didn't work. God, okay. So also, my mic just didn't record anything. So, wow, like, AuthorTube just hates me right now. Why? Low battery, okay. All right, I totally didn't see that. By William Jr. Wait, I don't even know who did it. Who wrote this? William Stunk Jr. and Ibu. I didn't know his name. Oh, Strunk. Okay. Oh my gosh. By E. I didn't even say it right. I was gonna say E.B. Strunk. Oh, why can't I say it right? Oh my gosh.